this high level of spiritual truth that was absolutely undigestible by the masses. So what these masters did, like those of you who have studied Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, you'll see how Sri Ramakrishna uses parables and stories and jokes to convey certain ideas. In between, there are ideas too. Just like that. The Vedas have core knowledge, the way they should be. And there are also forms and rituals. Now, why forms and rituals? Instead of focusing on stories, because the problem with these stories, howsoever spiritual they might be, is that you get lost in the pleasure of listening to the story. Those of you who have enjoyed serials on Ramayana and Mahabharata and these Puranas, you will see that you tend to forget, you tend to lose the essence, the main philosophy, and you start enjoying the story part. What these sages did was, they had stories. There are portions in the Vedas which deal mostly with the stories. So more than stories, they focused on rituals, because when you have rituals, there is an active involvement in religion. In listening to these stories, the involvement is extremely passive. So the mind listens to those stories, gets those ideas, but is not able to really absorb. And definitely it's difficult to practice. When it comes to rituals, like we have these worship and pujas and going to the temples and offering certain articles and praying, there is the actual involvement. Now, because of the actual involvement, there always is some progress, some amount of progress. Not completely, not fully, but that's acceptable. Nothing wrong with that. Now, normally we see that there are prophets and there are priests. The prophets are those who talk only about the core truth. And there are the priests who maintain these rituals. Hindus had both. There were prophets who were the sages, and there were the priests. But there was also a race that maintained this knowledge. They were known as Brahmins. These Brahmins, they were neither as great as the sages, nor were they as ordinary as the priests. They were scholarly. And because they were scholarly, but lacked the immensity of those prophets, so they went on adding to the rituals. And to entice people towards religion, they came up with different kinds of sacrifices. If you want this, you perform this yajna. And those yajnas invariably had Vedic mantras. So those Vedic mantras were chanted, and there definitely was some kind of impact in the minds of people who were involved in that. So the purpose of the Vedas was not to create rituals, not to go all out for yajna, but to create an impact on the minds of persons who were performing those yajnas and who were watching them.